Good morning, everyone. Good evening for those of you who are in Asia. After a somewhat long break, about 2.5 months, we are going to resume this daily practice. Now, having just said that, Friday we will not meet this Friday. So anyway, so this time our daily practice is going to be the 4 sessions Guru Yoga. So right off, it's called 4 sessions because ideally this is done 4 times a day. And so each day you do these 4 sessions. 4 sessions is also a reference to the retreat schedule. So often in a retreat situation, there are 4 sessions to each day. And so 4 sessions also refer to the regular retreat schedule. So this practice can also be done in the context of a retreat, where you do it 4 times a day. But 1 time is better than no time. 4 times is better than 1 time. So we do what we can. So if we can at least do a session each day, I'm sure this is helpful. Then also, when we speak of Guru Yoga, literally it means to be united with the Guru, to be unified with the Guru. So we're talking about our minds and the Guru's mind becoming one. So the Guru here is the embodiment of the awakened mind. In the same way that in general Buddhist practice, the figure of the Buddha, so more specifically Buddha Shakyamuni, for example, that lived 2,600 years ago, for all Buddhists, Buddha Shakyamuni is the embodiment of this state of being awake. Then, in the Vajrayana teachings, the Guru becomes a practitioner's personal, you could say, personal embodiment of the awakened state, being awake. I think this is helpful to understand, This is a personal embodiment of the awakened one, the awakened state. So what that means also, I think, is it should be kept personal, not something that we, first of all, not something that we broadcast to the world. Oh, my Guru is so-and-so and this and that, Secondly, is personal in the sense that don't expect other people to accept your choice. Whoever you relate to as this embodiment of the Buddha state, the one who is awake. Don't expect other people to agree with you. So that is not something that you should expect. It's foolish to even expect. So you keep it personal, as in you don't broadcast it, because broadcasting it, what's the point, right? This is something special. Of course, in this day and time with social media, what was, I think, fundamentally an American, a US thing of broadcasting everything has now become like universal across all cultures. Broadcasting everything and anything is considered good. I mean, after all, this format of talk show People go to these things to talk about their problems and then talk about it in front of the whole world. It's a genre that began here. But don't apply this, to your practice, your Dharma practice, particularly to Guru Yoga practice. Keep it private and keep it personal. So here in this Guru Yoga practice, the Guru is Kyopa Jikten Sumgon, the founder of the Drung Kagyo lineage, and in his retinue in particular, the first Chungtsang Rinpoche, who lived in the 17th century. Kyopa Jikten Sumgon was 12th, 13th century. Then the first Kyabgon Chungtsang Rinpoche, Konchok Rinpoche, is highlighted in this Guru Yoga practice. Then the first Chungtsang, Kyabgon Chungtsang Rinpoche of the Drung Kagyo lineage, also lived in the 17th century. He is also highlighted. So these three figures in the center, Kyopa Jikten Sumgon, then to his right, first Kyabgon Chungtsang, Konchok Rinpoche, to his left, first Kyabgon Chungtsang, Chukyi Drakpa, or also known in his Sanskrit name, Dharmakirti. So these are the two. Then, of course, it includes all the gurus of the lineage. It includes all the gurus of the lineage, all the way extending back to India, to the Mahasiddhas, and so on and so forth. So the embodiment of this awakened one, and an awakened one in a more private, personal way, here it's Kyopa Jikten Sumgon. So we, and especially for many of us who we are still unstable and unsure, and again, I have to repeat this again and again, there is no rush. When you rush this, you create problems. For many of us who are still unsure, unstable yet as to who any, human walking around person that we think of as the our private or personal embodiment of the awakened one, the awakened state, then to rely on a figure like Kyopa Jikten Sumgon is without mistake. Just as some others might rely on the guru figure of Guru Rinpoche Pemasambhava, or some others might rely on, say, the first Karmakpa, Dusun and so on and so forth, or Sakya Pandita, or for the Sakyapas, or Je Rinpoche Songkhapa for the Gelugpas. There is absolutely no mistake in relating to these historical figures as the embodiment of, living embodiment of the Buddha principle. Then, if you say, "Oh, I don't even know these figures that well," or even Milarepa or Marpa, and you say, "I don't even know these figures that well," then absolutely no mistake in thinking of Buddha Shakyamuni as your guru, as your root guru. No mistake, always safe. In fact, very safe. So rather than, wasting energy, fretting and thinking, who is my guru, this and that, it's a complete waste of time. That identification for yourself has to come naturally. But you devote yourselves to this principle of the guru. And the principle of the guru is not so easy. No amount of works, no amount of books explaining it can fully encompass this principle. And there's a lot of wrong views, I'll be blunt, circulating around out there. And many of us have been infected with these wrong views. But no choice, part of the practice is refining the view. So Just know that whatever view you have now of the Guru probably needs refining. That none of us are free from that work. Because ultimately, as Gyoba Jikten Sumgon says, when you see the Dharmakaya is when you fully see the Guru. And then, of course, we have not seen the Dharmakaya yet. So then our view of what the Guru is necessarily still needing refinement. Particularly in the Kagyu Mahamudra lineage, the figure of the Guru becomes even more important. And then this notion that we translate as devotion, Mogu, is even more complex. Mogu, normally translated as devotion, but that word devotion again carries a lot of baggage, particularly among other religions. If you come from other religious backgrounds, the word devotion carries a lot of other baggage that may or may not apply in this notion here of the importance of Mogu. So Gyoba Jikten Sumgon famously in the Konchok says that Mogu, or devotion, is the single factor for realization. So this statement is needs explanation, obviously, and not this morning. We're not going to do it this morning. It's just to call your attention to the existence of such a statement found in the Konchok. And again, it's not as simple as just, I want devotion, and I will have realization. As to what are all the other elements that are necessary for this devotion to arise, there are plenty. And that is where all the various stages of the path are included. But at the end, Mogu, or what we translate as devotion, is the single factor, most decisive in the arising of realization in the context of Mahamudra, Kagyu Mahamudra. Even the word Mahamudra in different lineages is used slightly differently. And I think sometimes we get confused. But Mahamudra as a method is Mahamudra as a method rather than Mahamudra as a result. Generally, Mahamudra, the word, is used by all different lineages referring to the result of practice. And so they talk about achieving Mahamudra. But Mahamudra as a path, as a method, particularly the specialty, so to say, of the Dakpo Kagyupas, the Kagyupas from Gampopas, especially descending from Gampopa. So Drupung Kagyu is one such lineage descending from Gampopa. So anyway, we will begin. So the format will begin with the bodhicitta recitation that we commonly do, the aspiration and action bodhicitta. Please share the link. I think it's already being shared in the Zoom chat. And those of you who are connected to Facebook, if you go to my live cast on Facebook, you can also reshare that link so that other people who might be watching or passing through might see that link and if in case they need the text. So the opening and dedication text is there, as well as the 4-session Guru Yoga, 2 separate PDF texts. For our morning practice, I'm going to be using these 2 versions. And so when I talk about page numbers, I'm referring to these 2 PDF texts. Some of you have physical texts that was recently produced and used in our pilgrimage in Nepal. So Alma, do you have it? Hold it up just to show. Some of you have that physical text. So until, or whoever has it, lift it up so people can see. Yeah. So until more people have this version, I'm not going to to refer to the page number from this version. Eventually, it will be ideal to use this. I'm very, very happy, satisfied with this version that we have. Recently, in the special transmission that His Holiness did, His Holiness also gave the transmission for the text inside this collection. I offered 250 copies to His Holiness to be distributed, because His Holiness wanted this to be distributed at this special transmission. So over 250 copies were distributed to all the Drung Kagyu Lamas, the authorized teachers of the lineage that were there. And they all got a copy of this. And then the people who went on the pilgrimage to Nepal also got copies. We have more that are being sent over from Nepal. And already the second edition has gone into print. We're printing more. Soon I will let others know how you can get a copy of this. So stay tuned. Until then, we are going to use the PDF text. So page 1 of the opening recitation. We begin page 1 and 2. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Now, go to the 4 sessions Guru Yoga text. So the 4 sessions Guru Yoga text has a refuge, followed by the 4 immeasurables. So not necessary then to repeat and repeat and repeat too much. Although in the monastery, the convention is to do a whole set of opening recitations, covering all the various aspects, and then to again repeat, taking refuge in 4 immeasurables in whatever sadhanas that comes afterwards. But it's not necessary, especially, those of us not living in the monastery, we have other things that we have to attend to. Whereas if you are living in the monastery, the main job is to do these practices, not just for yourself, for others too. And then, of course, more reflection on various aspects of the path, even better. But for us, I think we now go to the text itself. So on page 2 of this PDF, Of course, those of you who have the other text, maybe you already know where to go. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, happiness and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. So up to now, these are all the preliminaries. Then since, especially the way Kyoba Rinpoche teaches, the preliminaries are not like something that is like you do and you do quickly to get to the main part. Rather, what is in the preliminaries is what we are working on achieving and realizing through the main part. Yeah. So hope you can see, this connection. What we say in the preliminaries, even though conventionally called the preliminaries, they are in fact what we are working on realizing through the main practice. So in this sense, as Gilbert Rinpoche says, whereas others consider the preliminaries to be not profound, we consider the preliminaries to be what is truly profound. Yeah, so this is not just a skillful statement that he's making to encourage us to pay attention to the preliminaries and not to be impatient and wanting to get to the real thing. This is not just a strategy to get us to focus on the preliminaries before we get to the real thing. Because even in other traditions, where the main thing is the most important thing, they will still quote even Kyoba Rinpoche's statement as a way to encourage their disciples to not dismiss what is in the preliminaries as not important. But here, in Kyopa's way of explaining this, it is not just simply to encourage us not to look down on the preliminaries, what is in the preliminaries. In fact, why there is even the main practice, it is for the purpose of realizing what is said in the preliminaries. You see the relationship? How the nuance is different? So then what is in the preliminaries? The heart of the preliminaries is bodhicitta. A commitment to achieving complete and perfect Buddhahood out of love and compassion for all sentient beings. A personal commitment to achieve complete and perfect Buddhahood out of love and compassion for all beings. That is the bodhicitta that we're talking about here. So the actualization of that is what everything else was given by the Buddha, by the lineage masters, by the Mahasiddhas. Everything else is given for the purpose of actualizing bodhicitta, which is what we are saying in the preliminaries. Like the four immeasurable minds that we just recited. Again, in other traditions, they see these four immeasurable minds as like a method, a means to achieve Buddhahood. In fact, in some traditions, they even say the four immeasurables begin with love and compassion, then joy, then equanimity. Then they see this as sequentially cultivating more and more profound states of mind, so that equanimity is the most profound, so that when you get to equanimity, the other three are no longer necessary. And some even say that these four immeasurable minds, they are qualities of samsara. As in, even in the highest level of these four, you are still bound to samsara. So sometimes they associate certain levels of like rebirth in higher realms, in the realm of forms of the Brahma deities. They say these four immeasurables correspond with these Brahma deity worlds. But Jikten Sumgon teaches it differently. He says these four immeasurables, they are the very essence of Buddhahood itself. So these four immeasurables are not merely steps to be taken to arrive at something more profound. But these four immeasurables, they are the essence of Buddhahood. And so when we repeat the four immeasurables as preliminaries, for us, preliminaries is not just, oh, I get this to get to the more profound. It's actually, we begin by really setting up the right context for the main practice, which is, in order to achieve all these things that we say under the preliminaries, now we go to the main practice. Now, page 4. So the main practice consists of, first, ourselves assuming the persona, the identity of a deity. And since this borrows from or utilizes Vajrayana elements, so here, ourselves, we arise as Vajravarahi or Vajrayogini. Many of you, at least in the Zoom room that I look, have received this Vajrayogini, Vajravarahi empowerment. So then, particularly for you, you already have a formal introduction to yourself as Vajrayogini, yourself as Vajravarahi. Then perhaps some others among you don't have yet this empowerment, but it's okay. If you ask me, if you ask somebody else, maybe you get a different answer. I'm not saying that my answer is the only answer, but consider that the rationale that I say, it's okay. If you have not yet received the Vajravarahi, Vajrayogini empowerment, it's okay. Make the resolve, make the aspiration that when the opportunity arises, you will participate in Vajravarahi, you make effort. When the conditions arise, doesn't mean, miraculously conditions arise. You have to create those conditions. You have to create those causes. So your aspiration and say, one of these days, I would very much want to receive this Vajravarahi, Vajrayogini empowerment. And so then you also have to make effort to go receive it. You cannot just say, oh, I will make aspiration prayers, and then when opportunity comes, I'm like, I don't know, that involves, rearranging my schedule. Oh, I don't know, I already agreed to go watch, a football game. I don't know. Then no amount of aspiration prayers, would accomplish anything. No amount of aspiration without action will lead to anything, right? So both, aspiring and taking actions necessary is good. So anyway, here in this text, you arise as Vajravarahi, Vajrayogini. Then in front of you is the Guru. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bomb turns into Vajrayogini, red complexion radiating empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with 3 eyes gazing towards the sky, right hand with a Gatri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound Pem, and protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breast swelling with bliss and adorned with the 5 bone ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and has joyfully with her right hand holds aloft a Vajrayana pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center, and held under her arm is glorious Heruka in the form of a Katanga dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss. The next section is the arising of the field of refuge, the Guru, in the space in front. So in this text it says, then above her head meaning in the space in front, above. So facing yourself as Vajravarahi is the next part. Then above her head in the expanse of 5-colored rainbow lights on a jewel throne supported by lions, elephants, horses, peacocks, and garudas, in the center of a lotus free from the faults of samsara, and on the sun and moon that eliminate the sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara with the 7 attributes, the totality of the exalted speech of the Dharma of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddhas, possessing the 10 powers, is Jikten Sumgon, embodiment of the 3 jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious range and pale presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of the major and minor marks and Nirmanakaya, glowing with red as white light, Lord of the teachings, wearing the 3 Dharma robes, the sleeveless shirt with the 7 noble riches and meditation hat, symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, a golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles, right hand subduing the hordes of Maras by touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon are Avalokita in person, the Bodhisattva himself, Konchok Ratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his 2 hands. To the left is Chukidrakpa in the form of a bhikshu, the 3 robes, Manju, Sri Saraha in person, holding a vajra and bell and a axe and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat, symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the one moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India and by an ocean of Kagyu Siddhas of Tibet gathered in the main and intermediate directions like immeasurable clouds. With Jah, the hook of faith draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse, with whom they arrive with the kindness that pleases wandering beings, with whom they abide joyfully, with limitless compassion, with hold they protect, with the smiles of the tamers of wandering beings, with compassion. Please remain here for the sake of wandering beings. This next section is the sevenfold puja, which consists of paying homage with body, speech, and mind, making offerings, then confessing our impairments and our breakings of the vows, rejoicing in the great deeds of others, requesting the Buddha, in this case the Guru, to turn the wheel of Dharma, requesting them to remain long in samsara for the benefit of beings, and then dedication. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings of these established things, outer, inner, and other. The one who offers that which is offered, and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste, free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles, and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained, and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the three times to the welfare of wandering beings. And the next is the supplicating, praying to the golden lineage, the Rosary of the golden lineage. So this is called the Rosary of the golden lineage. Rosary, the mala. So each bead is one of the lineage masters. And the string, right, that strings together this mala, that string is the string of realization. So all these names, these masters, what they transmit is the realization. And so elsewhere, like in this text called the Drigong Teachings to the Assembly, the Great Drigong Teachings to the Assembly, in the very first teaching, there are 30 teachings that given over the period of 30 days by Kyoba Rinpoche. In the very first teaching, he says, when we speak of lineage, then what we mean is something that continues, something that gets passed down from one generation to the next. So he says that's what we mean when we say the lineage. That means something is passed down from one generation to the next generation to the next generation until now. Then he says, now, then something passed down. So what is it that is passed down? He says, what is passed down is none other than bodhicitta. So meaning what links all of them together is a commitment to and the realization of bodhicitta, of which there are two aspects to bodhicitta. So earlier, when I talked about bodhicitta and defined it as the wish or the commitment to achieve complete and perfect Buddhahood out of love and compassion for sentient beings. That is called relative bodhicitta. There's another aspect of bodhicitta, which is ultimate bodhicitta, which is the realization of emptiness and the infinite Buddha qualities that is inherent, and the realization of that. So these two are the ultimate bodhicitta. So what is also passed down, so to say, in the lineage is these two aspects of bodhicitta. So Jikten Sumgon says, the true meaning of lineage, true meaning of what is being passed down, which we have to be sure that we actually got it, when we say, oh, lineage, 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 what do we really mean, he says. The most important meaning is that this lineage of bodhicitta we receive, we carry with us. And now we have to commit to realizing these two aspects of bodhicitta. So now we supplicate the golden rosary, the lineage of the golden rosary. I supplicate you, the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara of the sixth family. I supplicate you, the 85 God Indian Mahasiddhas. I supplicate you, Tili Prajna Bhadra. I supplicate you, Narogyana Siddhi. I supplicate you, Marpa of Lodra, the translator. I supplicate you, Mila Shepa Dorje. I supplicate you, Dao Shunu of Dakpo. I supplicate you, the three siddhas of Kam. I supplicate you, Dorje Gyalpo of Pagdu. I supplicate you, Jikten Dorje Peldra. I supplicate you, Supreme Refuge Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, Dharma Lord Ratna Shri. I supplicate you, Khenchen Sutrim Dorje. I supplicate you, Onchen Sonam Drakpa. I supplicate you, Chenga Drakpa June. I supplicate you, Chung O Dorje Drakpa. I supplicate you, Toka Rinchen Senge. I supplicate you, Samche Drakpa Sonam. I supplicate you, Chuni Dorje Rinchen. I supplicate you, Tuku Dorje Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Nirni Chuki Gyalpo. Supplicate you, Shenyan Dondru Gyalpo. I supplicate you, Rinchen Pelgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chogyal Rinchen Pelzang. I supplicate you, Rigzin Chuki Gyatso. I supplicate you, Gyawang Konga Rinchen. I supplicate you, Jikten Rinchen Punso. I supplicate you, Rinchen Lampar Gyawa. I supplicate you, Penchen Pelgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chole Nampar Gyawa. I supplicate you, Tsongme Chogyal Punso. I supplicate you, Dumchen Darshi Punso. I supplicate you, Jason Konchok Rinchen. I supplicate you, Rigzin Chuki Drakpa. I supplicate you, Konchok Tenle Namgya. I supplicate you, Konchok Tenle Zangpo. I supplicate you, Chogyal. I supplicate you, Konchok Tenzin Drodu. I supplicate you, Tenzin Chuki Nima. I supplicate you, Kyabda Peme Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Jamyan Chuki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Duwang Chuki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Rinchen Tempe Zegen. I supplicate you, Gyawang Tuje Nima. I supplicate you, Rigzin Nuden Durje. I supplicate you, Jikten Chogi Lodro. I supplicate you, Gyalcho Shive Lodro. I supplicate you, Jikten Dharmakara. I supplicate you, Trisab Tenzin Tubten. I supplicate you, the dark Bokagyu, protectors of wandering beings. I supplicate you, my kind rune Guru. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect, I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents, I still have bias attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion, I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form, I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water, I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage, I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar Compassion, reckless and mundane, I supplicate you who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives. Physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires, you Guru who are all inclusive and all sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart with compassion. Swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seat the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion. Refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state, and beyond whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad. Only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon. I supplicate you, compassionate God, Konchok Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyutu Dharmakirti. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, fathers and sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me, as there are none like you, kings, you victors, father and sons. You are all that I need, my only hope and reliance. I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion from the utmost depths of my heart. Without delay or indifference, look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion, Master. This next section, starting on page 33, it talks about the where, the qualities and like the where these three great masters are. Kyoba Jikten Sumgon, first Kyabgon Chesang, Konchok Ratna, first Kyabgon Chungtsang, Dharmakirti. So it goes over like the different, each of them. So if we have time, then we can read and recite this whole section. But today we are not going to read this section. You can read on your own. Telling us where they are, what they are doing now, and how their vows and their activities are continuing to benefit beings, even though they are not, physically present to us now. So now page 41. Thus are these three victors, father and sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of Kagyu, Gurus and Siddhas, and all Idams, Dakinis and Dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities, and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings, so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that all our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the supreme samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Now we take the four empowerments from the Guru. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white light emanates, dissolving into my forehead, immediately fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmana Kaya, the exalted body Vajra. The Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat immediately, fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech Vajra. The Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vakasiddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya, the exalted heart Vajra. The Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel, immediately fully cleansing my equipoise mind and the moment of transition of their obscurations, having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of five-colored lights, resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is. Primordially free from elaborations, the great middle way, seal and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom, Evam Maya Alalaho. By the virtues collected in the three times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. If you have the opening recitation text, please turn to page 34 of that text. That is, Jikten Sumgon wrote this dedication prayer. Sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, please heed me by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of Samsara and Nirvana, and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara, and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstructors who harm those who create obstacles, maras who mislead, and their mara retinues, have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi by the power of this vast root of virtue. May we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflicted thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment. With my mind stream moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta, may I come under the care of virtuous spiritual friends, and having become as limitless as space, may I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana. And by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So let's just see briefly if there are any questions about the 4 sessions Guru Yoga. I do intend over time to go through section by section and kind of, explain some of the more technical things that you're seeing in this practice. But before we start doing that in the days to come, let's see, like first impressions, or something that you saw that immediately, you're like, I really need to know what is going on, Let's see. So please, go ahead and ask. Just unmute yourself, or if you are shy, type your question.
Lala, I want to ask about, can we add a mantra in the body of sadhana? For example, mantra of Jikten Sumgon.
Oh, mantra. No, actually, there is no need to do that. So one of the things about this practice is that it actually doesn't have mantra recitation. Of course, there's nothing wrong to add. And so if you really want to add, so let me tell you where to add that. If you really want to add, then on page 44, after the supplications, then before receiving the 4 empowerments, you can add the Jikten Sumgon mantra there. But this sadhana doesn't emphasize that. And in some ways, I think for some of us, this is sort of maybe a nice kind of difference. I think, especially in Vajrayana, somehow this understanding has developed, that everything is about mantra recitation, and everybody recite, whereas this practice doesn't have, the mantra. So again, nothing wrong. If you want to add, then that is the place to add that mantra. That is one possible place, actually. The other possible place to add also is, let's see, the other possible place to add this mantra is on page 31. After the I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgon, I supplicate you, compassionate Garvan Konchok Ratna, I supplicate you, gentle protector, Q2 Dharmakirti. There, after that, before you begin the supplications in the next section, that is another possible place to add the mantra recitation. Yeah. Okay, we have another question. Go ahead.
Hello, Lopon. Lopon, can you teach us about page 49? The guru become 5 color, right? Can you teach by Drikung tradition? Some goes to the heart, some to body, speech, mind, qualitativity.
So yeah, the dissolution here, it says the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. So if you have not done that before, I'm sure you have, all of us. If you've not done that before, you go ahead and go to a mirror, go to a glass, and you'll see, right, your breath, on the mirror, and then the way it dissolves, it goes to the middle. The way that circle disappears, it pulls into the middle until it disappears. So that is what is being described here. So meaning the retinue surrounding the guru at the center, Kyopa Jikten Sumgon, they dissolve into the middle. Then Kyopa Jikten Sumgon too dissolves. So here it simply says, dissolving and turning into these beautiful masses of 5 colored lights, like 100,000 suns rising all together. And it simply says dissolve into you, you as Vajravarahi, of course. So it doesn't identify like white here, red here, blue here, golden here. It doesn't. So this is a general, the 5 colored lights, they all dissolve into you as Vajravarahi, and yourself as Vajravarahi now also turn into, it says, immediately you are blazing in various colors of light, and so not specified even, like rainbow colors. Bright lights and rainbows filling the entire 3,000-fold universes. And then it just leaves it at that. It doesn't say, you have to further dissolve until it's emptiness. Yeah, it just leaves it at that. And then here it makes a statement. It says, this is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is, primordially free from elaborations. The great middle way, Madhyamaka, the great seal, Mahamudra, the great perfection, Dzogchen. It says, don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. So here, primordial wisdom, indivisible unity, what does it mean? It means that confusion and primordial wisdom, they are, what we call confusion is simply the result of a misperception. That in fact, confusion don't have a basis. And that which don't have a basis cannot remain forever. So, evam maya, Maya is the magical quality of things, the illusory quality of things. So evam, thus, it's all everything has this nature. And then alalaho, it's like a Tibetan exclamation of like wonder. So this is the dissolution stage, for this practice. Then, of course, the dissolution stage, it's not something that can be kind of talked about a lot, or even no point to talk about a lot. We get the general kind of principles, we get the general idea, and then we practice it. As in, we repeat. And then as we do this practice, and as with any other practice, the difficult part is to continue to do. And so most of us don't, continue to do. Then we would never discover for ourselves what's actually there. In other words, like the power of the practice. Because we think that, all we need is to understand. So then we try to read, we try to, which is good, but those kinds of understandings are just like on the surface level. And the true understanding has to come from us applying the practice again and again and again, because this practice, even if sometimes you don't feel like it's doing anything, and sometimes maybe it is not doing anything because we're just going through the motions, but even I would argue, when going through the motions, if you know you are just going through the motions, then go ahead and go through the motions. If you know. If you don't know, then I'm not sure if it is that beneficial to just go through the motions. But if you are aware, wow, today I'm just going through the motions. But then don't like, oh, today I'm going through the motions, so I'm not going to even go through the motions then. But when you know you're going through the motions, you're just going through, right? You're not really feeling or following the visualization, the practice, the understanding. But if you know, oh, I'm just going through the motions, even that is doing something. It's helping to refine, to polish, which is what purification means, to polish. So when you're polishing like a piece of gold, a piece of silver, when you're polishing, what you're doing is you are removing, right, the impurities. So what we're removing is these impurities. And so what are these impurities? These are the stains of confusion. We're not talking about some kind of religious purity, you're pure, not pure. We're not talking about these stains that prevent us from seeing things as they are, seeing our own nature. And so there's another question about the Swabhavika Kaya. Swabhavika Kaya is the natural Kaya, the Kaya of one's own nature. This is the fourth Kaya, the usual three Kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Swabhavika Kaya is the underlying kind of natural Kaya, which in one context, we talk about it as Dharmakaya. In another context, we talk about it as Sambhogakaya. In another context, we talk about it as Nirmanakaya. So often the Swabhavika Kaya is also described as the three Kayas all not separated, not distinguished. And that is the Swabhavika Kaya, the fourth Kaya. I think there was a question about whether there is a Chinese translation or a Spanish translation. So far, there isn't that I know of. So maybe somebody can work on them. Yes.
As we are still on Vajrayana, right? And if we already have Vajrayana, do you think we can directly practice little bit short Vajrayana for ourselves?
In the context of this, or what do you mean, or in general?
I mean, we have Vajrayana empowerment, some of us, right?
Yes.
Because we are still Guru Yoga and we are still Vajrayana.
Yes.
Do you think we can do the self-practice Vajrayana, like chanting the mantra a little bit, then
yeah, again, so yeah.
Let's start from start again.
Again, this Guru Yoga text itself don't have a special section emphasizing that. But again, if you want to, then yes, we all love mantras. Page 5. After all the self-arising as Vajrayana has been described, and if you have a Vajrayana empowerment, some instructions on how to practice, then you can insert, the mumblings there, blah, 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 blah. If you have time, Then also, if you want to perform Ghana Chakra, Guru Yoga, Ghana Chakra, then you insert that. Let's see. A few possible places, but you can insert Ghana Chakra in the regular Lama Chopa practice, Jikten Sumgon Lama Chopa, and there is a Ghana Chakra. So you can take the Ghana Chakra from there, and then you insert that. On page 41. Sorry, I mean 44, before receiving the 4 empowerments. So that's one place on page 44, before receiving the 4 empowerments, or at the end of page 32, before going into the section where we skipped, describing where these 3 masters are now, what they are doing, the power that they have in terms of how they can help beings. So that's another place. For me, the heart of this practice is that section with the look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, starting on page 21. For me, I think that whole section is really that kind of reminders that we all need. So particularly pay attention to what is being said there. Reckless and mundane. That describes, our. We are reckless. We are careless. We live as if we are immortals, and then we die. Ultimate recklessness. We live as if, this will continue without any problems. And of course, nobody wants to die, really, for the most part now. Until maybe when you are bedridden for a while, maybe then your thoughts is like, I don't want to live longer anymore. But other than that, I think for the most part, we don't want to die. Then the real question from there, that I think we should ask, and I'm asking myself when I can remember, is like, so if I don't die, what am I going to do? If somebody now comes and say, I can extend your life by 50 years. I think all of us are like, oh yes, please. But the real question to ask is, then what? What are you going to do with these 50 years? Same thing that you have done for the last 50 years? If you have had 50 years. And then what does that lead to, right? Even somebody says, I'm going to extend your life by 20 years. You're like, yeah, of course, please. Where do I sign up? But what we all don't ask is, and then what am I going to do with those 20 years? As if there's some kind of end point, But the thing is that there is no end point except death, unless we really decide, okay, whatever the extension that I have, in fact, every moment from this moment onwards is an extension, because it's not a given, that next moment you are promised. So then we have to ask, so what is the meaning of whatever extension that I'm getting? What am I going to do with that, From one perspective, probably, if we get this extension, all we're going to do is to accumulate more negative karma. Create more confusion, Then very bluntly, well, better that you die now. It sounds really harsh, But if you really think about it, what is the meaning of extending another 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? So we are reckless, We are really reckless and mundane. Reckless and mundane. And mundane here means, like we're so foolish, So foolish. We just get easily satisfied when it's the wrong kind of easily satisfied. Where we should develop easy satisfaction, we don't. Where we should not develop easy satisfaction, we do. With so many nonsense that eat up our energy, our time, our mental space, our emotional space, we don't know how to, be easily satisfied. Yeah, it's like, I want to improve my house, I want to improve my finance, all those are good things, but then what is the end point? Most of us don't have an end point because we live recklessly. We think there's no end point. But the thing is, what is the end point of everything that you think you want to spend your time now improving on? Before you're retired, you say, I need to earn enough for retiring. And then you're retired, and then now what? You earn enough for death, and then what? That's so reckless and mundane. So here, this section was very, which is what truth is. Now, why I want to practice this, I want to sort of promote or introduce this practice to others, is particularly this section, and it goes through all the stages, starting with, right? Many of you will recognize it's the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So it says, although I meditate on the rarity of freedoms and endowments, that's the first, right? The precious human life that you have gained now. Although I meditate, although I cultivate this awareness of how rare It is. Then rarity of freedoms and endowments, as I've said, human life itself is not yet this rarity of freedoms and endowments. First thing, human life itself, very precious, absolutely, it says. Of all the 6 realms of existence, human is the most precious, it says. In terms of what? So that's really, in terms of fun, in terms of pleasure, then human life, nothing compared to the God realms. So you want rebirth in the God realms. So why is the human realm said to be the most precious? In terms of what? In terms of achieving Buddhahood. Then, just merely having a human life, not yet this endowed with freedoms and endowments. To be with the freedoms and endowments, they are freedoms, meaning you are free from the obstacles for practicing Dharma. But then if you measure whether your life is precious or not with other terms, such as, do I have enough money? Do I have enough respect? Do I have enough blah, 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 all those things? You may or may not have a precious human life. If your standards of precious is based on other things. But if your standards of precious is based on having achieved the 8 freedoms, every one of you right now, on Zoom or listening on Facebook, I guarantee you have those 8 things. Or rather, you're free from those 8 conditions. By definition, if you are now have interest in practicing Dharma, you're already free from those 8 otherwise obstructive conditions that prevented Dharma from being practiced. And you also have the 10 endowments. So these 18 points, every one of you have. But then every one of you, myself included, will still complain. I don't know. I'm not, so bleh. It's just a matter of different moments, Maybe at this moment you're not complaining, At some other moment you'll be complaining. And that is, although I meditate on the rarity of freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Squander away. Squander means, right, the wealth that you have inherited, so to say, you squander away. This is our situation. So this is such a beautiful and honest lamentations, in the Christian tradition. We even joke when we were in Nepal, when we were on pilgrimage. Also, we got the chant, to go in a nice beat, Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. And some of us were joking about, we'll revive the medieval practice of like whipping ourselves, So in Latin America, the Holy Week, now the Buddhists can sing this and go on the streets and whip themselves, Look upon me with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. Whip, whip. Crawling, on your knees, towards Casa Tibet, new pilgrimage route. But this is really, this section for me. And in case, you others, you feel like, I don't know, I don't know Jikten Sumgon that much. I'm not that inspired with this Guru Yoga here. It's okay. But this section you can take out and put into any sadhana you're practicing. any deity practice, you have a lot of faith, you have a lot of devotion to Tara, right? And when you're doing Tara practice, after the mantra recitation, you insert this section. Look upon me with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. You're very inspired by Guru Rinpoche, so you do Guru Rinpoche practice. You take this section, you put in there. And this section, no matter what practice you do, you can take this and put in there. Because this really helps us to remember what is it that we should cultivate, and then what instead are we wasting our time on? All the way to Mahamudra practice. And so the later part of this section, needs more, of course, explanation. But every part, is very meaningful. So over the next, few weeks, months, slowly, again, if we talk too much and don't back it up with doing the practice, then we might be misled by a mere understanding on the intellectual level and thinking that that is sufficient for protecting us from suffering. Intellectual understanding is a starting point. In fact, if you don't use your intellect to develop some understanding, your practice will be weak. But to then mistake intellectual understanding as how this becomes effective, then it's quite unfortunate. Don't commit that problem. Really doing this practice as sincerely as you can. And then, like I said, even on the days that you find that I'm not sincerely doing it, but having recognition, I'm just going through the motions, it's still good. So we'll conclude this morning with bodhicitta aspiration and dedication. Changchu Sem Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Na Ge Gyurche Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Be Wer Shou. Okay, tata everyone. Thank you for joining. If you join tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you whenever you join us.
Thank you, Lopon.
Thank you.